So I can't even fathom losing. I can't even imagine it. He's not going to win. I think he thinks this is going to be a very easy night. It's not going to be an easy night.
I don't think that. I think it's going to be a war of ages.
First of all, no one else can do this but me.
Okay.
I believe. And like you said, this is the greatest boxing match in the history of boxing, and it's because I'm a part of it.
On Friday night when I put this man to sleep, so that is pretty dope.
He dreams a lot.
A lot of dreams.
I knew it. They all come true.
This is not going to come true, young man.
Hey, man, I respect your opinion, but it's just my time. The universe know it. The gods know it. I know it, and you're gonna know it. Plain and simple.
Okay, for next week, we'll see.
In the final hours before their highly anticipated fight, Mike Tyson issued a chilling message to Jake Paul, one that has boxing fans everywhere on the edge of their seats. With a focused and menacing tone, Tyson addressed Paul directly in a brief but intense video posted on social media, giving a rare insight into the legendary fighter mindset.
This fight is not going to change my lifestyle financially. I'm a fighter. I feel good. I can do it. I feel I can beat this guy.
Come on.
Standing in his training gym, Tyson looked every bit the fierce competitor he was in his prime. In his message, Tyson said that this isn't a game, and it's not for show. He said that when he is in that ring, Jake is going to feel what it's like to be up against someone who's done this his whole life. His voice carried a calm yet intimidating edge, underscoring the seriousness with which he views the upcoming fight.
I don't look at my life as a legacy. Legacy to me means ego. Who the cares about my legacy? I'm going to be dead soon one day, but he's not going to win.
What do you say about your legacy if you end up beating Mike Tyson, and not just beating Mike Tyson, knocking Mike Tyson out?
Obviously, it would be the biggest moment in all of boxing history.
This warning shows Tyson's fierce dedication to the sport, and it seems intended to remind Paul, and perhaps the fans, that stepping into the ring with him isn't just another headline-grabbing event. It's a true boxing match with stakes, intensity, and real danger in the days leading up to this message. Tyson has been vocal about his motivations for returning to the ring. For him, this isn't about a simple comeback. It's about reclaiming his legacy and proving that his skills and power are ageless. Tyson's message to Paul encapsulates this motivation, hinting that he's coming to the fight with a warrior's mindset, unburdened by fame or financial incentive, but driven by a desire to embody the ferocity that once defined his career.
I've always been in the gym training. I'm a boxing professional fighters. I'm just, activity is great. I had 15 fights in 1 year when I was younger, and I think activity is great, but I'm prepared. I'm just ready to go.
Tyson's words, though simple, carry the weight of his storied career. He's been training with a no-mercy mentality, and he made it clear that he has no intention of holding back. This statement alone sent a wave of anticipation through the boxing community, signaling that Tyson's approach to this fight will be as relentless as ever. Tyson's promise to bring the real thing to the ring is a reminder of his ferocious energy in his heyday, and fans are excited to see if he can channel that same tenacity at this stage of his life. Paul, known for his bravado and showmanship, appeared unusually silent in response to Tyson's words. While he's usually quick to counter with a quip or challenge, Tyson's warning seems to have hit differently. Sources close to Paul's camp say he's taking Tyson's message seriously, adding extra intensity to his own final days of training. It's clear that he understands the gravity of stepping into the ring with a legend.
My life has changed since then, and I decided to fight Roy Jones, and that was successful, and now we're fighting.
So people shouldn't even bring that shit up no more?
No, they should bring it up.
Okay.
They should see the difference from there to now.
Gotcha.
Paul's silence is perhaps a reflection of respect, or maybe a recognition that Tyson, even at 58, brings a level of skill and power that can't be ignored. For the first time in the lead-up to the fight, Paul's camp has remained uncharacteristically reserved, leaving fans wondering how this message has truly affected the young fighter's mindset. The message also drew reactions from boxing legends and analysts, with many noting that Tyson's statement harkens back to the fighter who dominated the heavyweight division in the 1980s and 90s. When Mike says something like that, he means it. There's no one like him, and you can see in his eyes that he's ready.
It's a possibility, yeah. It's kind of fun. I guess only thing that's pretty tricky is getting in shape.
Yeah, you start getting older, that thing.
No, just like when I was 20, it's hard. Me training, I go all out. I train you train all day. It starts when? The boxing starts from what? 11, and then we might be done by 5. And then I'm gonna do strength and conditioning, guys. Then I'm gonna do the weights, and then I'm gonna do boxing, and then sparring.
In a recent interview, Carl Farch claimed that Tyson is too old to be in the ring. Jake was also attacked by former middleweight world boxing champion Farr, who called the YouTuber turned boxer that much of a B and said that he irritates people by fighting against opponents far lighter than him so far. He was also asked about his remarks on Paul's wish for Tyson's match to stay on his professional record. FR said, "That's just to create more of a stir. That's just to PI more people off. My only beef with Jake Paul is that he can't really fight. He's not a professional boxer. He's not even in shape. He looks fleshy. He's got a layer over him. He doesn't look chiseled. And I don't know if he takes the training seriously." Froch further added, "When Paul has got a 2 or 3 stun weight advantage on these guys he's fought so far, it's a mismatch. It's unfair. He's got an unfair advantage when he fights. He's that much of a... He makes it so he's so much heavier than his opponent. He's got such an advantage." Tyson has competed at 220 lbs in the heavyweight division, which has no weight restrictions, while Paul has typically fought around 200 lb in the cruiserweight class. Before the fight was rescheduled, Paul reportedly mentioned plans to bulk up to 240 lb before shedding some weight for the match. The 58-year-old former undisputed champion, speaking to the crowd after his last professional fight in 2005, revealed that he had lost the drive and ferocity that once defined him in the ring. George Foreman, a man who retired from boxing a decade ago only to return and claim a world title at 45, knows a thing or two about making comebacks. When New York Fight suggested to Big George that Tyson should still be capable of dropping and stopping Paul even at his current age, his reply was clear and insightful. He said, "Jake Paul is no pushover, and he is not afraid of any of these guys. Time is on his side. So happy for Mike Tyson. He needed this excitement in his life. Everyone is talking about it." Answer to your question, no. In a different piece with USA Today, Foreman continued to praise the younger fighter while cautioning Tyson. He mentioned, "Be careful with Paul, only because Paul has tricks. Tyson gets hit with one punch at his age. You start to hear funny noises." How Tyson and Paul will fight over 8 2-minute rounds while donning 16-0 gloves, a first for the sport. At the same time, Mike Tyson has been advised to reconsider his participation in the upcoming fight due to concerns about his health. This warning comes from Anthony Taylor, who once faced Tommy Fury and has been a sparring partner to Paul throughout his 5-year boxing career. At 58, the iconic heavyweight champion is preparing for a stunning return to the ring this November, where he will square off against Paul. Yet the upcoming fight sparks serious health worries. Taylor predicts a one-sided outcome, warning that Paul's power could quickly lead to Tyson suffering a concussion. Taylor told Instant Casino Mike Tyson needs to take a leaf out of KSI's book and pull out of his fight against Jake Paul. The first to work with Jake behind the scenes, and trust me, you haven't seen what he's capable of. Tyson is a lamb to a slaughter. I worry about a concussed vending because Jake is a real fighter. Now Tyson was forced to delay his planned July 20th event because of an ulcer flare-up. While he's not yet back to full training, he's been making occasional trips to the gym, steadily increasing his intensity in preparation for later this year. Meanwhile, Paul, at the height of his physical form, triumphed over Mike Perry, securing his 11th victory. Taylor further added, "I've known him for 5 years, and he's developed into a real fighter. When Tyson tires, Jake will make Tyson pay. Jake's cardio is next level. Did you ever see Homer Simpson bite his time, soak up a bit of punishment, and then knock over his exhausted opponent? Well, Mike's 58, and he's going to get tired real quick." There's no question that Tyson's wealth of experience dwarfs Paul's, especially considering his brutal punching power at the height of his career, which propelled him to the top of boxing as the undisputed champion. Tyson often shared glimpses of his training, giving fans a glimpse of his fearsome strength and short bursts. In contrast, Paul has boldly claimed he'll land the knockout punch, suggesting his own power might be on par with the iconic heavyweights. He mentioned, "I know I will be able to. I'm a natural-born heavyweight. This is what I was born to do, move up into this weight class and show Mike who has more power, because he is underestimating me, and I believe I hit harder." Moreover, Tom Aspel has shared his thoughts on Jake Paul, and his take is surprisingly compelling. Following his impressive win over Curtis Blades at UFC 34, the British heavyweight is now targeting John Jones while he waits for his much-anticipated title shot. Aspen has turned his attention to Paul, joined by Karl Cobra Fr., who has also expressed a strong interest in the polarizing boxer. As their chat unfolded, the subject of the problem child emerged, with Fr. revealing his intrigue about a possible showdown with him. Aspen said, "If you want my honest opinion, I think you are above that. I don't think you should not fight Jake Paul." The UFC interim heavyweight champion comforted Froch by stating that he already had money when he implied that there was a lot of money in it. Brock Then said, and I won't want to get punched in the head by anybody who would seriously punch because my health is more important, but I just think Jake Paul is an easy workmate at this point. Aspen acknowledged that while Paul could be better than he had thought, he is not good enough to compete against a boxing world champion. He said, in all honesty, he is better than I originally thought, but if you compare him to an actual boxing world champion, Aspen, on the other hand, expressed serious concerns about Mike Tyson's upcoming match with Jake Paul, perceiving it as a high stakes challenge. Tyson, who is approaching 60, faces a considerable age difference against the 27-year-old. Paul, the former Disney star, has made a successful pivot to boxing, winning most of his bouts. This transition has created a stir in the combat sports, with notable figures like Tom Aspen taking notice recently. However, Aspen's view of Paul has evolved, prompting him to doubt whether Paul truly belongs in the boxing ring. It's a notable shift, especially since Aspen had expressed admiration for Paul just 2 years ago. He said, I think what he has done for me, I can't help but be impressed by that. Like, I think it's good, and I like the way it might be controversial, but I quite like the way he carries himself. If it's not for me, I wouldn't do that, but he and I are different people, so I like it. On the flip side, he's tapping into the world of boxing, a domain where Paul thrives. For UFC 304, he took an unorthodox approach, waking up at 4 a.m. to align his body with the event timetable. During a chat on MMA Hour, he shared that his pre-dawn ritual involved shadow boxing among hay bales. To further prepare, he submerged his hands in petrol for 20 minutes, hoping to toughen his knuckles. Mike Perry and Nate Diaz, two seasoned MMA fighters, have recently joined the ranks of Jake Paul's boxing opponents. Last year, Paul faced off against Diaz in the ring, with the Stockton native proving to be one of the toughest adversaries the outspoken American had faced. Despite putting up a strong fight, Diaz ultimately lost, yielding to a unanimous decision in Paul's favor. The problem child next squared off against two professional boxers, Andre August and Ryan Borland, both regarded as heavy underdogs, yet they both suffered quick defeats, each succumbing to a first-round stoppage. Perry, on the other hand, endured multiple knockdowns before the referee halted the action in the 5th round. Now, the two former UFC fighters have shifted their attention to the upcoming Tyson fight, but their predictions for how it will unfold couldn't be more different. Speaking on Paul's podcast, Perry believes that his former opponent's youth will be the deciding factor on fight night. He said, I think Jake wins. I think he is younger, and I think he is doing the right things as far as what his team has him doing. It works. Mike Tyson has been cautioned about the potential for a catastrophic result in his upcoming bout with Paul. The much-anticipated showdown between the 58-year-old Tyson and 27-year-old Paul has ignited a storm of debate ever since it was officially revealed. Moreover, Diaz Strong L believed that the legendary boxing hero will prevail when Inside Fighting asked him to make a prediction.
Nate, what do you give you there? Doc tag? What is that?
That's for soldiers, baby. You already know what's up.
For soldiers. Nice. From Charles Rosa, UFC veteran. Hey. Real quick, everyone wants to know your take, man. Jake Paul, Mike Tyson, who you got?
Mike Tyson.
Mike Tyson all day? You're the man.
Tyson is gearing up for a long-awaited return to the ring this November, yet as the event draws near, the prospects for the boxing icon look increasingly uncertain, with numerous influential voices in the sport voicing doubts about his ability to perform at the highest level. Fitness expert Dave Hancock, known for his successful work with Chelsea Leeds and the England national team, has highlighted the potential health risks associated with the upcoming fight. From a medical standpoint, looking from the outside, Mike Tyson's comeback is purely money-driven, he said. Speaking to OBG, he added, if someone's going to offer you to do, why, you can make a decision whether to do that or not at any age, so therefore your incentive is cash, therefore you will be prepared to put your body on the line in those circumstances in that sport, because you know the reward is the cash. Hancock voiced serious worries about the risks of Mike facing off against Jake, especially considering Mike's age. From a medical standpoint, he feared the outcome could be disastrous. Diminished reflexes, slower response times, lower physical endurance, along with potential heart and lung complications, not to mention the impact of lifestyle changes, could all contribute to significant health dangers, he said. But at the end of the day, money talks, going back to the same scenarios about footballers going on end-of-season trips and preseason trips. It's because there are huge amounts of money involved. It's no different for an individual athlete that could get a payday for a one-off bout with a YouTuber. Paul stepped in for Tyson, who had pulled out of the fight and faced Mike Perry, the reigning bare-knuckle boxing champion, whom he promptly knocked out following the victory. Paul reached out to Tyson, urging him to sign the contract for their November showdown. He added, Mike, I love you, but this is my sport. You're a legend. You're one of the two most famous boxers ever to live. You and Ali, it's an honor to get in the ring with you. I'm so Honored you're a legend, but I'm going to take your throne, brother. Despite being 31 years younger than boxing legend Mike Tyson, Jake Paul's upcoming autumn showdown with the iconic fighter doesn't faze Tyson. I don't think he can hurt me, Tyson stated confidently, although friends and family have urged Tyson to reconsider the potential dangers of facing Paul. He remains unwavering in his belief that there's no question about the outcome. I'm a glory junkie. I love people thinking about me all day, Tyson told the outlet in an interview that took place just days before he suffered a medical emergency on a flight. He added, I'd rather live a short life of glory than a long life of obscurity. It's just who I am. This is all I started fighting for. To get all this status, I'm going to be chasing it for the rest of my life. I know that I'm never going to get what I want, because I'm one of those gluttons for pain. I can never get enough. Meanwhile, Joe Rogan has expressed concerns about the potential danger to Mike Tyson during his heated matchup with Jake Paul. The stark age difference between the fighters sparked an uproar among boxing fans the moment the fight was revealed. Tyson, who will be 31 years older than Paul when they step into the ring, prompted Rogan to raise alarms about the risks involved, especially before the bout was officially confirmed as a professional fight.
I mean, they were trying to do it at AT&T Stadium. Listen, like, that's crazy.
If Tyson dies, right?
Oh my God.
Yeah. See, if you have something like that, if you look, if
that'd be the end of the
right,
yeah, that'd be the end of that experiment.
Let's imagine it in a different way, right? Let's not imagine that Mike Tyson is fighting Jake Paul. Let's imagine Mike Tyson is fighting some young, like really powerful knockout artist who's a contender. Well, guess what? Jake Paul could be that guy if we didn't think of him as Jake Paul. If you look at the people he knocks dead, when he knocked dead Tyron Woodley with one punch, that dude was in crack.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, so like that's what I'm saying, exactly what you're saying. We don't want to give him credit because it's Jake Paul.
Exactly.
But we gotta wake up and realize that he's still 20.
Despite his serious worries about Tyson's health, Rogan isn't ruling out the possibility of Iron Mike defying the odds and utterly overwhelming Paul. The UFC commentator speculated that even if Tyson could recover just 70% of his former form, it would still present a formidable challenge for Paul, especially when facing 90% of Tyson's trademark power. Rogan stressed that Tyson's raw strength appeared undiminished, as demonstrated by his forceful bag work. Rogan discussed Tyson's past struggles with debilitating back problems, including intense sciatic, which had forced him to rely on AIN for support. He speculated that the progress in stem cell therapies might have played a role in Tyson's recovery, especially considering he was probably under the care of top specialists. Rogan also noted how impressive it was that Tyson at 58 could still potentially earn a significant income, provided he maintained his fitness and physical health.
I mean, they were trying to do it at AT&T Stadium. Listen, like, that's crazy.
If Tyson dies, right?
Oh my God.
Yeah. See, if you have something like that, if you look, if
that'd be the end of the
right.
Yeah, that'd be the end of that experiment.
Let's imagine it in a different way, right? Let's not imagine that Mike Tyson is fighting Jake Paul. Let's imagine Mike Tyson is fighting some young, like really powerful knockout artist who's a contender. Well, guess what? Jake Paul could be that guy if we didn't think of him as Jake Paul. If you look at the people he knocks dead, when he knocked dead Tyron Woodley with one punch, that dude was in crack.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, so like that's what I'm saying, exactly what you're saying. We don't want to give him credit because it's Jake Paul.
Exactly.
But we gotta wake up and realize that he's still 27, young.
Originally, Tyson and Paul's fight was intended to be an exhibition with both fighters wearing headgear. However, in an unexpected turn, the Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation granted approval for the event to be classified as a professional match, albeit with a unique stipulation: it will consist of just 8 rounds, each lasting 2 minutes. In a separate podcast, Joe Rogan shared his thoughts on Mike Tyson's obsessive attention toward Jake Paul, observing that Tyson appears to view Paul as little more than prey. Despite his age, Tyson is preparing for his highly anticipated return to the boxing ring with a bout against Paul later this year. The fight has generated mixed reactions from fans, primarily due to the stark age difference between the two, but the excitement of seeing a fighter once known as the baddest man on the planet make his comeback has stirred widespread intrigue. Amid the buzz surrounding Mike Tyson's comeback, Joe Rogan took a moment to praise Jake Paul. Rogan recognized Jake as a legitimate boxer, countering earlier doubts from critics. He emphasized that if Jake were solely known for his boxing rather than his YouTube fame, and had only made a name for himself by knocking out former UFC champions, beating seasoned boxers, and dominating athletes and MMA fighters, people would undoubtedly acknowledge his true fighting prowess.
People mocked me when I was saying that before, but now I think people are coming around. And the way I look at it, I say if this kid was not a YouTuber, if he wasn't some guy that you knew from the time he was like 16 years old on YouTube, and you just saw him box, and you saw him knock out former UFC champions, you saw him beat legitimate boxers, or beat athletes, and beat a bunch of MMA fighters, you'd go, this kid can fight. He knows how to fight. Like, it's not, nothing he's doing looks wrong. He's not like sticking his head straight up in the air and winging punches with his eyes closed. He's fighting well. He looks good. And if he was just an up and coming boxer that was this exciting, like highly promotable, like really good at selling fights, he'd be like, this kid's the future. He's really something special.
Special then shared his thoughts on the sheer terror that Mike Tyson instilled in the ring. During his prime, he couldn't fathom how Jake Paul could stand up to Tyson, who had famously destroyed Marvis Frazier with a performance that Rogan described as nothing short of execution, reflecting on Tyson's. Peak Rogan emphasized the unparalleled speed, agility, and precision that made Tyson nearly impossible to hit. According to Rogan, Tyson stands as the greatest heavyweight in history, a standard that in his view has yet to be eclipsed by anyone, while acknowledging Tyson's change over the years. Rogan still considered him an imposing figure in the world of boxing.
There's not a chance in hell that Jake Paul would survive against the Mike Tyson that beat Marvis Frazier. You ever watch that fight?
Yeah.
That's my favorite Mike Tyson fight, because that was Mike Tyson before he won the title. It was ABC Wide World of Sports, and Joe Frazier had been talking shit about Tyson, that if he was in his prime, he'd beat Tyson. And so he had his son fight Tyson, and it was an execution. It was an execution.
Is that the one?
Joe Rogan later delved into Mike Tyson's comments on Jake Paul, highlighting the former heavyweight champion's extraordinary mindset. Rogan painted Tyson's mentality as one that had transformed into a full-on warrior state. In a previous interview, Tyson revealed he was consuming raw meat to prepare for battle, symbolizing his opponents as mere raw meat. Rogan emphasized Tyson's shift into a god of war and savage mode, suggesting that Jake Paul would likely be petrified when confronted with such a formidable force. Rogan later shared a story about how Mike Tyson unintentionally prompted him to resize the table in his studio. At first, Rogan had chosen a large table for a laid-back vibe, but when Tyson arrived at 300 lb relaxed and smoking weed, his sheer presence was so formidable that Rogan decided to downsize the table for a more intimate atmosphere. The next time Tyson came to record, he had transformed, shedding weight and packing on muscle in preparation for his fight with Roy Jones Jr. at 230 lb. With visibly stronger forearms, Tyson's new, even more commanding presence left an impression that was hard to ignore. Like Mike Tyson's mind has switched over into war, like he was doing this interview, and someone said to him, he goes, you look like you're in your 20s. Like, what are you doing? He goes, I just eat raw meat. See you, I eating raw meat. He goes, you're eating raw meat. He goes, yeah, I'm eating raw meat. He goes, because that's what I'm going to eat when I fight out. Going to eat him, it's raw meat. Yeah, see, Jesus Christ, he's in this mode he's in.
You know, like Mike Tyson's mind has switched over into war. Like, he was doing this interview, and someone said to him, he goes, you look like you're in your 20s. Like, what are you doing? He goes, I just eat raw meat. He's like, eating raw meat. He goes, you're eating raw meat? He goes, yeah, I'm eating raw meat. He goes, because that's what I'm going to eat when I fight. I'm going to eat him. It's raw meat.
Yeah. See,
I was like, Jesus Christ. He's in this mode. He's in that God of War mode, and that he's still got that in him. And I'm telling you, if you keep giving that guy hormones and you keep giving that guy supplements and he's constantly training, look at this.
What are you eating? Raw meat. Seriously, Mike, you're eating raw meat? Are you swallowing it, or remember you used to spit that stuff out?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to eat it now because my opponent's gonna be raw meat.
That's right. Do you look like 20 years old?
Rogan shared that Tyson's commanding presence was so overwhelming he felt that sitting too close to him at the podcast table would make him uneasy and impact his ability to perform. To maintain a sense of ease, he explained the table was deliberately set wide enough to keep a comfortable distance. He also echoed Kevin Hart's analogy, likening being near Tyson to being in a room with a lion. Rogan shared his intrigue about the unfolding drama between Mike Tyson and Jake Paul, eagerly anticipating how the showdown would play out. He noted that while Jake Paul tends to bring in a crowd with any fight, this particular match against Tyson would likely draw an even bigger viewership. Rogan emphasized the excitement from longtime fans who were hoping to see Tyson give it his all. He expressed confidence that the fight would be more than a spectacle, as it held real weight in terms of both fighters' professional records, promising a high-stakes battle. rather than a mere exhibition.
I think this fight is going to be a real full bore 100% fight. It's not even an exhibition. It counts on their professional record, so it's a professional fight.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Is it 8 rounds?
8 2-minute rounds, but
They made it 2-minute rounds because Tyson's old.
Make sure to check out some of our other videos on the screen if you enjoyed this one.